I want you to just picture a scenario for a second. It's the middle of the day. You're at home, maybe reading, minding your own business, and the phone rings.
Right.
You pick it up, you're expecting, I don't know, a telemarketer or something. But the voice on the other end, it's just wrong. It's archaic. It's haunting. And this person claims with total conviction that he's Edgar Allan Poe.
And we're not talking about some prank caller doing a spooky voice, you know. This is someone who claims to be in a state of fast movement through time, literally rushing toward you.
Exactly. I mean, my first thought is, okay, block number. It's a scam or, someone's having a really bad day. But the twist in the story we're covering today is that the caller knows things. He knows who you are, and he knows about the obscure scientific theories you've been working on in total privacy.
It's a hook that just grabs you immediately. Today we are doing a deep dive into this really fascinating piece of Soviet science fiction from 1966. It's a story by Gennady called The Great Actor Jones.
I have to admit, I hadn't read Gore before this, but this story, wow, it's a heavyweight. It seems like a time travel mystery on the surface, but when you really get into it, it's this incredibly tense debate about logic versus art and a certain kind of intellectual arrogance.
That is a great way to put it. It's structurally science fiction for sure, but thematically, it feels more like a Gothic tragedy. It's all about what happens when our neat, rigid models of the universe smash into the messy, inexplicable reality of how things actually work.
So let's set the scene. Let's introduce the guy who gets that phone call. Our protagonist is Philip Dadlin, and Gore is not exactly subtle with this character, is he?
Not at all. Dadlin is like a caricature of the hyper-rational scientist. He lives in Einstein City.
On Dickens Street.
And Dickens Street, yes.
Yep.
He's a physicist who believes in absolute measurable order. He has absolutely zero patience for anything that doesn't add up.
He sounds like a real joy at parties. But he's not just a crank, he is a genius. He came up with this hypothesis called Zigzag Chronos, which, frankly, sounds like an 80s synth band.
It really does. But in the story, Zigzag Chronos is his theory about the shape of time. Dadlin argues that time isn't, a straight arrow moving forward. It actually moves in zigzags. And because of that shape, reversibility, actually going back or pulling something forward, it's theoretically possible.
But, and this is the huge asterisk he puts on his own work, he insists this only applies to the micro world.
What?
We're talking about elementary particles, electrons. He draws this very hard line. You cannot apply the zigzag theory to people.
That's his safety net. As long as it's all just invisible particles, Dadlin is safe. He gets to be the smartest guy in the room without having to deal with the chaos of actual reality. But then, of course, the agent of chaos shows up, Samuel Gops.
I love Hops. He's the perfect foil to Dadlin. Dadlin is this tall, refined intellectual. Hops is, well, he's a technician. He's described as having a moon-shaped face and these weirdly short arms.
And he's vulgar. That's a key word Gore uses over and over. Dadlin is physically disgusted by him. Hops smells like stale tobacco. He represents that sort of dirty, unpolished reality that Dadlin just wants to pretend doesn't exist.
So you get this collision, the ivory tower theorist and the sweaty mechanic. Hops basically walks up to Dadlin and says, hey, I read your paper. I ignored the part where you said it's impossible for humans, built a machine, and guess what? I pulled a guy out of the 19th century.
It is the ultimate nightmare for a theoretical physicist. The engineer who didn't read the safety manual actually got the thing to work. Hops claims he's called Edgar Allan Poe out of the past.
And Dadlin's reaction is just pure, unadulterated denial. He doesn't even consider it for a second. He thinks Hops is insane. He's offended that this vulgar man would dare to even touch his elegant theory.
Right. He calls it a violation of common sense.
Yeah.
But Hops has this great comeback. He says he serves common sense. He didn't care about the math. He just wanted to see if the machine would turn on.
And that brings us to the phone calls. Dadlin starts getting these harassing calls from this voice, and the details are so specific. The caller isn't asking for money. He's not making threats. He's just confused.
The confusion is the evidence. The caller has this dreamy, unusually beautiful voice, but zero context for the modern world. When Dadlin tries to talk about a movie, a film, the caller has no idea what he's talking about.
The word film means nothing to him.
Nothing. He also doesn't know where Einstein City is, which of course makes perfect sense because it didn't exist in the 1840s.
Right. He's working off a completely different map. But Dadlin is so stuck in his skepticism, he just refuses to see the data. He finds a rational way out. He reads in the paper that a biopic about Poe is filming nearby, and he just latches onto it. Okay, logic is restored. It's just an actor playing a prank.
It's Occam's razor used as a shield. The simplest explanation to him is a prank, not a miracle. So he tracks down the actor. And this is where we finally meet the title character, the great actor Jones.
Great is definitely being used with some heavy irony here. When Dadlin meets Jones, it's such a letdown. Jones is a mess. He has a vulgar, self-satisfied face, tiny piggy eyes, and the nose of a drunkard.
It's just disastrous casting. Dadlin is looking at this guy and thinking, you're supposed to be the sensitive, tragic Edgar Allan Poe. You look like you just got into a bar fight.
And Jones is so arrogant about it. He's sitting there telling Dadlin how much the director loves him, how great his performance is. He's treating Poe's legacy like it's just another job.
Which sets up the central scene of the story. I think it's one of the most chilling scenes in all of science fiction. They're in Dadlin's study. Jones is just kind of lounging there, looking gross, and then the light bulb burns out.
And that's the pivot. The room goes into this semi-darkness, and in that moment, while Dadlin's fumbling with the light, something happens to the man in the chair.
It's not just a change in posture.
Yeah.
Dadlin watches a physical metamorphosis.
The description is incredible. The vulgarity just gets wiped away. The face elongates. The piggy eyes become large and dark and thoughtful. The whole figure becomes slender. It's like the darkness let the real person step forward.
And the voice.
The voice changes. The smoker's rasp is gone. And it's the voice from the phone.
Yeah.
The dreamy, tragic voice.
And notice the first thing he talks about, the light. He complains about the electric light. He says, I prefer the trembling light of candles.
That line, the trembling light of candles, it gives me chills.
He says that in Dadlin's world, our world, neither Rembrandt nor Beethoven is possible. Our world is too bright. There are no shadows.
That feels like the philosophical core of the whole story. Dadlin's world is one of total illumination science, electricity. But this figure is saying that genius, that art, it needs shadows to grow. You can't have real poetry when everything is lit up and explained away.
It's a critique of modernity, really. We've traded mystery for clarity. And to prove who he is, he recites a stanza from Poe's poem, Ullalum. It's a really deep cut, a poem about grief and memory.
And for a second, Dadlin is totally mesmerized. He actually believes. He asks, "Are you a ghost?"
And the figure says, I am too fat and vulgar for a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just, it's such a perfect, melancholy, Poe-like thing to say. But it can't last. The moment the mood breaks, he wipes his face with a handkerchief, and it's like a switch is flipped.
Mm-hmm.
The piggy eyes are back. The drunkard's sneer returns. Jones just looks at him and asks, well, how did I play?
It just leaves Dadlin completely spinning. Was that the greatest acting he's ever seen, or was it something else?
He is desperate for a logical answer. So he goes with Hops to the film studio. He has to see the raw footage. He needs to know if that magic is being captured on camera.
And this is where the satire gets so sharp. You'd think a director would be ecstatic to have an actor who can literally become the character. But the director, Ingram, he is furious.
He hates it. He tells Dadlin the film is too real. It's monotonous. It doesn't have any cinematic flair.
Because, let's be real, the actual life of a starving alcoholic writer in the 19th century wasn't an action movie. It was probably pretty drab.
Exactly. Ingram complains that it captures the drab reality too perfectly. Gore is making a point here. We don't actually want the truth in our art. We want the dramatic, sanitized version of the truth. The real Poe is just too depressing for a movie audience.
Ingram even thinks Hops is drugging Jones to get this performance, but Hops pulls Dadlin aside and gives him the technician's view. He says, this isn't acting, this is the intersection of zigzag forces.
He calls Jones point D. He says Jones is just a biological coordinate where the timelines cross. He's not acting in the traditional sense. He's a vessel. He's being worn like a suit.
So we have the skeptic, Dadlin, the catalyst, Hops, and the vessel, Jones. But there's one other person in this story who actually sees the human being inside all this machinery, and that's Dadlin's sister, Anna.
We have to talk about Anna. She is the emotional core of this whole thing. Dadlin is the brain. She's the heart. She's described as aging, unmarried, lonely. She spent her life taking care of her brother, letting him pursue his genius while he basically ignores her.
And then, completely out of the blue, she drops a bombshell. She tells him she has a fiancé.
And Dadlin's first reaction is that she's being scammed. But she tells him she met someone during those phone calls. She fell in love with a voice with the soul on the other end of the line. And she tells Dadlin, straight up, this man is not the actor Jones. He's a suffering soul who is lost in time.
And then she makes this heartbreaking request. She doesn't ask Dadlin to help him stay. She begs Dadlin to use his science to send him back.
It's the ultimate act of love. She sees that this man, this soul is suffering in the 20th century. It's too bright, it's too loud. He wants to go back to his own time, even though that time was filled with misery and led to his death. He just wants to go home.
And Dadlin, the great scientist, what's his response?
He refuses.
Why? Is he just being cruel?
I don't think it's cruelty so much as fear. If he helps, he has to admit that Hobbes, the vulgar technician, was right. He has to admit his whole worldview is wrong. And he can't do it. He chooses his theory over his sister's happiness. He just dismisses it all as a cruel game.
That is just, it's so infuriating. It's the ultimate failure of the intellectual, valuing the model over the person.
And it leads to the final confrontation. Dadlin comes home. He sees Jones leaving Anna's room. And for a split second, he sees Poe again, the tragedy in his eyes. But as soon as Dadlin confronts him, the mask goes back up. He sneers, he becomes vulgar Jones again, and he shouts, "Don't interfere with my acting."
Don't interfere with my acting. What a line!
It's so ambiguous. Is Jones protecting the secret? Or is acting the only word Poe's consciousness has for what's happening to him? He storms out, and then he's gone.
The news breaks the next day. The actor Edgar Jones has vanished, without a trace.
The police think it was suicide. There are rumors he'd gone mad, telling everyone he was the victim of some physics experiment.
So Dadlin is left with his logic. The unstable actor killed himself. Sad, but the case is closed. He gets to keep his tidy little worldview.
Until he picks up the newspaper. And the twist doesn't happen in a lab. It happens quietly while he's reading.
He sees a report from a historian named Crenshaw in Baltimore.
Baltimore, of course, being where the real Poe died in 1849.
And Crenshaw has found something, a previously unknown, never published manuscript by Edgar Allan Poe.
And what's the manuscript about?
It's a story about a journey through time. A man from the 19th century who is pulled forward into the strange, terrifyingly bright world of the late 20th century.
That's the moment Dadlin's entire world just shatters.
It's the proof. Hobbes, the guy with the short arms and the bad breath, he was right all along. He really did it. The actor Jones was just a vessel, and the method acting was a genuine temporal displacement.
And the character Poe, he found a way to escape. He went back home to his own time and wrote a story about his trip to the future. The loop is closed.
It validates everything Anna believed. She wasn't crazy. She fell in love with a time traveler, and her brother just ignored her.
It makes Dadlin's refusal to help so much more tragic. Poe found his own way back, but what was the cost? I mean, think about Jones.
Right. What happened to Jones? If Poe went back to 1849, where did Jones's body go? Did he just evaporate?
The story implies he was just point D. He was the intersection. And once that intersection was gone, the point itself vanished. The medium was consumed by the message. Jones just ceased to exist.
This story is such a brutal takedown of intellectual arrogance. Dadlin was so obsessed with his own theories that he missed the miracle happening right in front of him.
He missed the chance to talk to Edgar Allan Poe because he'd already decided it was impossible. But I think there's something even deeper here about our idea of progress.
What do you mean?
Well, we always assume history is a line going up.
Yeah.
That the 21st century is objectively better because we have, antibiotics and smartphones. But Poe's reaction to our world isn't wonder. It's horror.
Your world has no shadows.
Exactly. Gore is suggesting that in our quest for total clarity, for scientific explanations, for 4K resolution on everything, we might be destroying the very environment where genius can even exist. Poe needed the shadows. He couldn't create an Einstein city.
It reminds me of the director who hated the real performance. We don't actually want the truth. We want the polished biopic, not the messy, complicated man.
And we want the clean theory, not the dirty experiment. Hobbes is that dirty experiment. He's the guy with grease under his fingernails who actually knows how the universe works.
It's a humbling thought that sometimes the guy with the bad breath knows more than the guy with the PhD.
A very humbling lesson. So we just leave Dadlin there, staring at that newspaper, realizing his micro-world-only theory, just walked out the door, went back 100 years, and wrote a memoir about it.
Before we wrap up, here's something I want you, the listener, to think about. We always fantasize about bringing our heroes from the past to the present. We think, oh, wouldn't Da Vinci love the internet? Or, wouldn't Mozart love a synthesizer?
We just assume they would see our time as a paradise of tools and information.
But this story suggests the opposite. What if we brought them here, and they didn't marvel at our technology? What if, like Poe, they found our world too bright, too loud, distinct? Would they look at our fluorescent lights and constant notifications and just feel their creativity shrivel up and die? Maybe they wouldn't envy us. Maybe they'd pity us.
That's a provocative thought. maybe we're the ones living in the dark, precisely because we have way too much life.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.